Welcome to the Swishlist Podcast, where we talk all things basketball. Hosted by two brothers, Moses and Roman. Let's get into it. All right, everybody, welcome into the Swishlist Podcast. I'm Moses, he's Roman. We are back for another episode, Season 2, Episode 3. Very excited for what we've got going on today. We're going to talk about all things NBA like we normally do. We're going to get everybody caught up in some of the things that have caught our attention over the past week. And let's actually just dive right into it. Let's start by talking about the Clippers and the 76ers. The Clippers right now are winless since the James Harden trade. The 76ers, they're up. They haven't lost. Maxi's going off for 50. Here's my thoughts on the deal right now. The anti-James Harden camp, they're up right now. They're feeling really good. But the Clippers didn't make the trade to get James Harden to win games in November. They didn't make this trade to win games in December. The whole reason why they did this is so that they'd be prepared and winning in the playoffs. Now, I'm not saying that James Harden is a playoff that he wins all the time in the playoffs. He's not a proven winner in the same way that Kawhi has been when he came up and which was traded to Toronto. That's not what I'm saying. But what I am saying is they've got months and months of time to get the chemistry worked out, to figure out who should be playing late in games. There's a clip right now that's going viral. I posted it on Swishlist story of Russell Westbrook getting subbed out of the game late for James Harden, and he's not happy about it, right? So there's a lot of small things that have to get figured out. Whereas the 76ers, they went through the entire training camp with Maxey and with Embiid. They played the preseason games. They played the regular season games. Like, they knew that this was going to be the team. And so, sure, they're winning the trade in November. But do you think they're going to beat the Celtics? Sure, the Bucks right now are trying to figure it out. We'll talk about them in a bit. But do you think that Embiid could really beat Giannis? Winning in November is not what matters to the Clippers. They're going all in trying to win a ring, and they're taking the risks necessary to do that. What do you think about the trade?
I like the way you phrased that. It's definitely not working out right now. Hopefully it does work out in the long run, but these clips that are being shown make the Clippers look very interesting at this point. Like you said, subbing out Russ at the end of the game. There was reports of Kawhi talking about how it was taking a while for him to come back to the huddle.
Yeah, I saw
James
that.
Harden not playing well in the clutch right now, which again could just be chemistry issues. It's really early on, but it's fun and it's easy to hate on the Clippers right now for what they're doing. It's fun and easy to hate on James Harden after all the controversy that he's been going through. So like you said, we got to give them time to build chemistry. We're a few weeks into the season. So again, we have to give them time. But like I said, it's just easy to make fun of a team like this right now.
The system's malfunctioning, and the system's James Harden. What makes it worse was there was that what was it, an announcer that went viral, just absolutely dunking James Harden, calling him the problem, the bad roommate, all of these different issues. Wow, that was pretty intense. I'm not going to say that that's what it looks like today. That's what it looks like. That's what the track record's been. Everybody he's ran out of the building in every single organization that he's been a part of, and now he's the one that's jumping teams. This is really it. And he's just as all in as I think Paul George is, right? If Paul George wants to have any type of legacy, this is it for him. If Russell Westbrook wants to cement any type of legacy, this is it for him. It's the same thing. So all I'm saying is you're going to hear the haters in November every time Philly wins. But the issue Philly's had has not been winning games in the regular season. Before they had Harden, when they had Ben Simmons, with James Harden, and now seemingly after. It's been the fact that they can't get it done in the Eastern Conference Finals or can't even make it to the conference finals. Switching gears, it's the same conversation with Milwaukee. We might as well just hit that while we're there. Right now, Milwaukee sits 8th in the East. Their defensive rating has plummeted since losing Drew Holiday. Giannis came out and said that they need to take it up a notch on social media. It's something that they want to address. You're seeing flashes of what this team's capable of, where Giannis there's a stat right now that Giannis and Dame combined have shot more free throws than entire teams at this point in the season. You've seen Dame take over in the fourth quarter in games. We've also seen times where Dame's wide open for 3-point shots and Giannis is for some reason shooting the ball from the 3-point line. We've seen Giannis do what he normally does, which is dominate the game until the last 5 minutes, and then he completely disappears, which happened just recently in the last game that they lost. This is a team that I believe has the pieces to win a championship. But once again, they didn't make this change to win regular season games. They were the number one seed last year. I believe they were the number one seed the year before. This is a team that what they're capable of is number one and winning a ring. And I think that if they end up the 3 seed, but they figure out chemistry going into the playoffs, and they don't get bumped in the first round like they did last year to the Miami Heat getting embarrassed. They didn't make this trade to win regular season games. If they cared about the regular season, they wouldn't have done anything because that's what they were dominating. But if Giannis wants to cement a legacy, he wants to win multiple championships, which it feels like is the criteria for every player not named Nikola Jokic. They have to get this figured out, and I believe they will. I still stand that Milwaukee is my favorite to win a ring. I'm not moving off of that line at any point in this season unless we see cluster injuries that end people's seasons. I believe they're going to figure it out. I believe in Damian Lillard. I know he's got a lot of off the court issues that he's sorting through, family issues he's trying to get resolved as well. He's never played in another city. There's a lot of change that's happening, but I think they're going to figure it out.
Lots of stuff behind the scenes that doesn't get seen with somebody like Dame. Like you said, he's been in the same location for more than 10 years now, and now he's got to go across almost the whole country to a new location. To the fans, it just looks like this isn't working out. Damian Lillard and Giannis doesn't work together. There was a statistic I saw about the top duos and pick and roll, like the most amount of times it happens, and I don't even think they were in the top 5 or top 10.
Yeah.
But again, it just comes down to slowly making it work. It's an 82 game season. They don't need to have it figured out even by January or February. They got plenty of time. They've got a good bench. They got good role players to get them into the playoffs, regardless of what those two are doing. But again, 82 game season, they're going to have plenty of time to figure it out. And this is Damian Lillard and Giannis that we're talking about. So I'm not too worried with their start. They're going to slowly get better. And again, look for them to be a top 3 seed in the East by the end.
If there's a spot to look at in Milwaukee, it's coaching. I'm not saying that coaching is the reason why they're losing games, but that's a rookie head coach. With the Clippers, they've got Ty Lue, who has plenty of experience handling high-profile superstars and even ones that complain quite a bit. I mean, the guy had to deal with Kyrie Irving and won a championship. In Milwaukee, they've got a rookie head coach. So some of the offensive sets, the actions that they're trying to get on the floor, I think some of that could be coaching. Their floor spacing is awful right now. I think some of that has to do with coaching. So if there's one thing to look at in Milwaukee that's different from the Clippers situation, it's coaching for me. Moving out of that and talking about our players of the week, we both have watched the NBA games this week over the past few weeks. Every week we pick a player that we feel has absolutely impressed. You want to go first?
My guy for the week comes from the Raptors. It's his first year on the team. It's Dennis Schroeder. He's coming off his gold medal with Germany, feeling good about the season, brand new coach. They got a new system with the team, and he's putting up numbers like he was a few years ago. He's looking like that 2018, 2019 Hawks player like he used to be. I think he's putting up almost 17 a game, almost 8 assists a game too, which is the highest he's ever been at. He's also shooting the 3 better than he ever has, and his field goal percentage is better than it ever has been. So the Raptors are looking pretty good. They're kind of average right now, but Dennis is putting up numbers that he hasn't put up in probably the last 5 years. So he's my player for this week.
That's a great choice. I'm going with what I feel is the obvious choice in this, and we can't pick the same player, so you got to keep that in mind. But I'm going with Anthony Michael Jordan Edwards. That's right. This guy in his last 5 games is averaging 31 a game, 6.6 rebounds, 6.6 assists, 1.8 steals. He's shooting over 50% from the field. His three-point shooting hasn't been great, but his clutch scoring has been absolutely impressive. And these performances are not coming up against nobody teams. He's doing this against the Boston Celtics, where he absolutely clamped Jason Tatum at the end of the game. Golden State, who have been hot early in the year, he torched the Warriors just tonight. We're recording this Sunday night following the games. He absolutely torched Golden State. I posted some of the highlights on our story with his massive dunk. Reminded me of the 2020 jam that he had over Watanabe. Massive slam dunk. And then the biggest thing that impressed me was his clutch mid-range scoring from the elbow, top of the key, turnaround jump shot. His mid-range game was absolutely on point. There have been scouts who are telling people in NBA media that this is the closest they've seen to Michael Jordan in quite a long time. Now, it's fun to say that. I'm not going to go that far. He's still playing in Minnesota. When's the last time they won anything? They still have Gobert. They still have Karl Anthony Towns, who also has not been shooting very well from the three-point line. But the Minnesota Timberwolves are are a lockdown defensive team. They've got McDaniels, who is one of the best defenders in the league. And when your best player, and Anthony Edwards is their best player, he's top 3 shooting guard in the league right now. When he takes the challenge on the defensive end, and you've got 2 7-foot anchors, this is what we've wanted to see from Minnesota. It wasn't the Karl Anthony Towns, Rudy Gobert duo. It was putting the players around to support Anthony Edwards and letting him take over the game. I like what I see out of Minnesota. Now, as far as teams that are performing, you've liked what you've seen out of the Dallas Mavericks. What specifically stands out to you about the way the Mavericks are playing that has you feeling so good about where they're at this point in the season?
I remember last year we talked about this a lot. I didn't even believe that the backcourt was going to work with Kyrie and Luka, them both being so ball dominant. But it just looks good so far this season. Yeah,
Yeah.
Luka's top 5 I think he's top 3 in the MVP race right now. Couple great guys above him, but he's top 3. Of course, Kyrie Irving putting up the numbers he does. And they've got great pieces around him. I mean, their young guy, Derek Lively, has been really good. Grant Williams has been really good. Tim Hardaway Jr. continues to put up numbers for the Mavericks. And then their younger guards in Hardy and in Green have been
Yeah.
super good. Dwight Powell pushed back to the bench, I think, but always putting up good numbers. Great piece for Luka. Maxi Kleba. Just the Mavs have a solid lineup now. Adding Kyrie did not hurt them like I think a lot of us thought it would. And it's been a great early start for this team.
The Kyrie trade was so late in the season, and there were so many issues already happening in Dallas. Like, that season was already gone. Luka Doncic currently is second in MVP voting, plus 425. The only person ahead of him is Nikola Jokic at plus 300. And that's not really surprising to me. You know, the NBA wants to give Luka Doncic an MVP. I mean, he was dominating the NBA apps notifications until a guy named Victor Wembanyama came onto the scene. So he's always been that high in MVP voting. So this is not really a shocker at all. But this team is playing well. And I think that when you hit the nail on the head when you're talking about roster composition, they've got bigs that can score from the outside. They've got a young big that's giving them high value minutes. And then they've got role players at the forward and guard position that can hit big shots when needed. High energy players. They've got defensive players as well. Like, this is a good roster. They're not a team that you want to see in the playoffs. You don't want to run into a team like this. And they're fun to watch. They're fun to watch. I'll give you that. Now they've got a lot to prove. I think both of their star players have a lot to prove, and we'll just have to see kind of where things end up. But this season versus the trajectory they were on at the end of the season last year, man, what a rebound. You gotta be happy to see it if you're a fan of the Dallas Mavericks. I do want to kind of pivot a little bit away from maybe teams and players. The entire reason why I want to talk about this is because of a clip that's going viral right now of Kendrick Perkins. You know the clip where it's Kendrick Perkins explaining what Luca was doing to teams.
What are you doing, the
Um,
Clippers?
yes, I mean that's cringy at worst. It's cringy, and it had me thinking. Why is ESPN so bad? Like, is there an executive that just doesn't like basketball? I don't understand why they help me. Like, what is it about the ESPN crew that's so bad right now?
I'm just as confused as you are right now. As soon as the season ended, they decided to get rid of some of the guys that I favor a lot. I mean, coming into some finals games, listening to Mark Jackson and Jeff Van Gundy kind of go back and forth at it. Like, it was great to hear from those guys. I think some of the analysts that they had, I mean, they weren't the best, but I don't know what the changes they're trying to make right now, but it's not very good. It's not very good.
Yeah, and it's not even just that too. I think like I've even got issues when they pan to the halftime shows or pregame. Like Richard Jefferson's fine, but Malika Andrews, it just everything feels so forced. It's just not good. I mean, Kendrick Perkins, there's times it's like he's breathing in the mic like a 70-year-old guy who doesn't know how to use Zoom. And what's tough is where TNT is so good, like they really have everything dialed in. It just makes ESPN look amateur. Amateur. What, in your opinion, could turn things around for ESPN? What would it take?
I think maybe doing something close to what TNT is doing, maybe bring in their kind of their own crew of former NBA guys. I think that'd be kind of cool to bring in a team like that and try and grow something off of that because there's been so much success for the TNT guys.
Yeah.
Uh, I think something like that would be really cool for them. Do you have any major ideas for it?
Well, we got to think of some names. Like, if you're looking at retired players, who can you get that even puts you in the stratosphere of a TNT?
Yeah, because Shaq is just such a big personality, and so is Charles, and Kenny just blends so well with them.
Yeah,
Ooh, I don't even know because you've had NBA players try it. Paul Pierce tried it.
he was bad.
KG, as we know, is interesting on TV.
Yes.
Um, can't pronounce the word. You see the
Can't
clip of
spell.
him trying to say
Yes.
equivalent?
Yes. Can't spell.
I think Draymond would be really good as soon as his career is over.
But Draymond's
Um,
already a lock for TNT.
that's true.
They've got him tied up.
Ooh,
I do think.
tired players.
I
Because like
think.
you said,
I
Richard
think
Jefferson's great and all, but he's nothing like a Shaq or a Charles.
his funny is forced.
Yes,
Like,
but bald guy, bald funny guy.
yeah, bald funny guy. Like uh, it's not like his funny is like he thought about the joke before he said it. What about like a Patrick Beverly,
Ooh, Gilbert Arenas.
Gilbert Arenas with a Pat Bev, rounded
Lots of
out with.
censors would have to be made
Oh
for
yeah,
Gilbert Arenas.
yeah. I mean, Gil is insane. We need like an old school. We need who from the 2000s is a big enough personality they could make it work. They already cut Vince Carter, which he seemed too corporate. Tracy McGrady.
I was just gonna say T-Mac, but I feel like he's more he's similar to that 2000s guy.
Yeah, no, this is tough, man. If you were gonna build a TNT crew for ESPN,
I mean, Pat Bev is still playing,
Pat Bev is still playing. You're not wrong.
so it's.
So, like, my options aren't even legitimate options.
I think Gil would be good. He's hilarious, but he's outrageous. Like, I don't know if it could work out, but I think Gil is
They wouldn't
hilarious.
even pay him. They wouldn't even put him on payroll because of the stuff he says on his own social media. I mean, you have to think, like, they cut Paul Pierce for his antics,
Flop.
for his antics.
Yo, Ball
Gil
Pierce is wild on
yeah,
social
yeah,
media. The things that
yeah.
he says
Do you
are
see you see,
absolutely
I
normal.
think it was a Ruby Rose or something, and, like, somebody just destroyed Paul in the comments on that one.
That's, didn't he say like my girlfriend or something like that?
He's like, he said, like, "My dream girl."
Yes, that's what it was.
Like,
Oh,
bro,
Ball Pierce.
aren't you, like, 45? What the You gotta keep that to yourself, dude. You look like those 60-year-old dudes that are saying stuff on social media that
He's
are, like,
looking great.
following all the bot
Yeah,
accounts.
yeah. Don't go to his follower. Like,
Dude,
how do you match a personality like a Shaq or a Chuck? Like
impossible. You
they're
can't.
so unique.
You can't. That's why you have to go for something that's, like, more new age. But who's retired recently that would even do well or be good? Like, I can tell you who's going to be good for television. Anthony Edwards is gonna be great for television,
But he's also in his
but
20s, so
yeah, but
he's not gonna have to.
he's got 10 plus years to keep playing.
Mhm.
I'll tell you who I don't wanna see. Don't give me Chris Paul, the dirtiest player of the last 20 years. Tonight, again, tries to blow out Mike Conley's knee.
I don't think it'll ever end. He'll never stop trying to
He's a
seek out
dirty
those
player. He's
fouls.
a dirty player, dude. He's a dirty player.
He looks different. Have you noticed that? Like his face looks a little bit different. I don't know if he did something like he got veneers or something, but like he's looking older or just something about Chris Paul looks different to me lately.
It's probably because he's coming off the bench.
Do you think that's what it is?
Yep.
From the
You just
bench?
don't you look at bench players different than you do starters, man.
No matter
It's
how
'cause he's
good
coming
their
off the bench
careers
now.
are.
Yeah, also, have you seen his three-point shooting? This season, he's shooting 16.2% from the
Mm,
three-point line. So, just abysmal. His true shooting percentage right now is 44.1. His assists are up, but he just is
always.
terrible. Golden State also has lost 4 of their last 5, losing to the Cavs twice, Denver, which is you'd expect it, and then Minnesota tonight. So, a downswing from a team that came out swinging. They were your hot team last week. I guess maybe you jinxed them. We'll have to keep track of it. Watch Dennis Schroeder's
Also,
numbers this
yeah.
week because if they drop, then
No,
that means
that Tyler Hero got hurt. He's out for multiple weeks with an ankle sprain.
it's you.
It's me. Tyler Hero is out for several weeks with a grade 2 ankle sprain.
Bro, you're the problem, bro.
We better watch Dennis closely, like very closely.
You know what you need to do? For those of you that don't know, Roman's playing college basketball right now for Otero College. He's shooting 80% from the three-point line, 4 for 5. He's getting spot minutes because he's coming off of injury, and we've seen his minutes climb every single game. But I say all that, getting back to the main point, you should give some shout outs to some players on these upcoming teams you're gonna be
On your
playing.
opponent.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. Because, Otero, we need to string together some wins, man. We need to string
Yeah.
together some wins. Um, don't worry if you haven't seen Roman play. I will be posting his highlights on our page at Swishlist Pod. I'll be posting those on our story, and you'll see some reels come through as well. So be sure to check us out: Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. We're on all the social media platforms at Swishlist Pod. If you're not following us, please go do so now. But maybe we need to give some shout outs to some of these other teams.
Shout out to the next couple of opponents. Yeah. Shout out players, specifically the guy averaging 20 a game. Yeah. Hope he's doing great.
Yeah,
hopefully.
hope he's doing great.
Yeah,
Let's see if we can get him
yeah.
jinxed too. Um, uh, honestly, we want to know what you think it would take to fix ESPN's NBA broadcast because we just don't have answers. We just know it's not good. And there's nothing worse than the guy that says, "Hey, man, I don't know how to fix this, but it's a problem," and then just kind of like walks away. But that's us right now. We have no solutions. Who would you say today is give me one of the best defenders in the league right now? Give me one of the best defenders in the league.
Drew Holiday.
Drew Holiday. I think I'm going. I think OG Anunoby right now is that guy for me. He's locking
You
people
got
down.
him. Who else?
Yeah,
Okay, Evan Mobley, Jaden
because I want
McDaniels.
to talk about real defenders,
Okay,
not like the rah guys. Like
like
nobody.
pure
Yeah, yeah,
perimeter
like
defender
straight
kind.
up, like legit defense.
I think
OG, I
OG's
think's
a
up
good
there.
pick. He's been a good pick for years.
I
Alex
think
Caruso,
Caruso, sure. Scotty Barnes, for sure.
Dylan Brooks has to be up there.
Dylan Brooks has been good this season, dude. His numbers have been good. Like I'm gonna let me pull up his numbers right now. I want to say that
Rockets have been
his
beautiful.
at one point he was leading the league in 3-point shooting. I kid
Was
you
he
not,
really?
right? He's shooting 53.3% from the 3-point line.
Woo!
Yeah. Now in his last 5 games, it's down to 42.9. But even then, coming off this guy's run in the playoffs, we didn't know if he was going to have the yips all season or what. But he's actually been really good for the
Been really
Rockets.
good.
Really good. And the Rockets have won 6 straight games. 6 straight games.
Undefeated this month.
Nobody's talking about the Rockets. Who else do we have for top defenders?
You said I said Alex Caruso. He's got to be up there. Ant's probably up there too, right? Are you looking
Anthony
at
Edwards has
ratings or anything?
Anthony Edwards has been really good. If you want to look at defensive rankings,
Because I know they do like a points per possession stat.
I've got a name for you. I've got a name for you for a guy. Your eye on right now. Jalen Duren.
Young boy.
Jalen Duren out in Detroit with the Thompson twin. Those two. Cade Cunningham. Detroit. Low key
Sleeper.
has a sleeper team. They're not like great, but like they got something going. The issue that they've got right now is the Jaden Ivey situation where they benched him and he's not happy about it. But
Well,
they had a first round. I don't know if it was their first round pick. They had a draft pick. They've got a guard right now. No, not Killian Hayes. No, 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 no. They've got a draft pick. Oh, what is his name?
oh, I know who you're talking about.
Yeah,
What is his name?
Marcus Sasser.
Sasser. That's who it is.
Sasser, by the numbers, like if you're looking at like the analytics, he's actually been their best guard, like next to Cade Cunningham. Like Cade
I was
Cunningham
gonna say.
clears. Cade Cunningham clears. But when you're talking about like the second guard, Sasser's actually been really good, but he's not getting like
So he's beating out Ivy
he's played
and
better than Ivy.
he's
He's
beating out Ivy
playing
and Killian Hayes.
well, Killian Hayes is not good.
He's
Killian
better
Hayes.
this year.
Okay. Let me tell you something. Sasser is outplaying both of them. He is outplaying both of them. I promise you.
And he's still coming off the bench.
Yes. And like he probably should be starting for them if I'm going to be honest. Right now he's scoring 10 points off the bench, but in his last 5, 13.8 points per game. Field goal percentage this season's 49.4, shooting 43% from 3. Okay? Like now I get it. You're listening to this and you're going, Moses, Detroit. They're doing Detroit things. They've lost 5 straight. I understand. I understand. But we're not talking about them like they're going to win the championship. You look at Killian Hayes' numbers. He's shooting 40% from the field, Roman. 40%, 32% from 3. Like, he's not good.
He's no Sasser.
He's no Marcus Sasser. And then we look at Jaden Ivey,
I know he's not been good.
11 points per game, true shootings at 61%. Last 5 games shooting 52% from the field, 43.8 from the
Oh,
three-point line.
it's good.
That's up. That's up from his 37.5 on the regular season. So that means that he was shooting extremely poorly before the last 5 games for it to have made a jump like that. Uh,
I know
hopefully
his
this.
minutes got reduced a lot, though.
Oh
I remember
yeah.
them talking about that.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Career regular season minutes, he played 30 minutes a game. This season in the last 5, 19. He lost a third of his minutes, over a third of his minutes. Boom, gone. But I'm telling you, man, Monty Williams, you gotta be playing Sasser a little bit more. That is a guy. That's a guy to keep your eye on right there. Telling
I
you.
mean, he took the risk to move Wiseman out of the rotation completely. Remember when it was Marvin Bagley and him competing for that spot, and Marvin
Oh,
Bagley
yeah.
took it, and they took a big risk by getting Wiseman on their team, and now he's just completely out of the rotation. So I don't know why he's not taking another risk. No reason not to.
No reason not to, especially if you just continue to lose games. I feel bad for Wiseman because I just don't know what else it's really gonna take. Their roster, it's interesting, but they've got young talent that's there. Like it Jalen Duren, I think he's gonna be good, dude. Like, he's gonna be good. I mean, he's a center, so you have to ask yourself, like, how good? Um,
He's
but
so
Cade Cunt,
young,
he's
like
so young.
one of the youngest in the league still. I remember last year was
He's
one of those first
19.
times they were talking about like LeBron was drafted before this guy was born, like that type of thing. He
Yeah.
just grown man at 19 years old. Same age as me.
He's in the league, dude. It's crazy. It's crazy. Okay. If we talk about the Detroit Pistons anymore, I think we may lose listeners, like, long term.
Gotta be careful what we're
We
talking
gotta
about.
we gotta be careful, right? Like, trying to bring it back a little bit. One of the things that we've been thinking about, just before we started the episode, we were trying to figure out some NBA player comparisons to rappers, NBA rapper comparisons. Here's some that we came up with. We thought that MJ, the GOAT. Roman was shocked when I said this, but
Oh,
Jay-Z is known as the GOAT.
shocked is
So
not the
that was
right wording.
that was the which meant that when we're looking at LeBron, we put Drake for LeBron,
Which is
arguably the GOAT,
accurate.
and a lot of people don't want to admit it. He's got more hits than the Beatles. He's got the same amount of number ones as Michael Jackson. But this was who I put for Kobe Bryant. If Jay-Z is MJ, then Kanye would be Kobe. Now, I know that Kanye is out there. He's a little different, but we're not talking about that piece of Kanye. We're talking about the artist known as Kanye and how maybe a little bit, maybe his mentality and
The
how
mentality is there.
Big Brother, Little Brother, and then Kanye kinda was doing his own thing. That was the comp there. For Kyrie Irving, we picked Lil Uzi Vert, which might be our best choice out of any. And then for Biggie and Tupac, we put Larry Bird and Magic Johnson, 2 players' careers that both could have gone longer. The dominance could have been extended. MJ may not be MJ in the same way Jay-Z may not be Jay-Z if those 2 keep their run going, but unfortunately, their careers were ended short, and we rounded it out with Ja Morant as NBA YoungBoy because,
For the
well, we
new
all know
people, we had to get some new mainstream rap one going.
we all know why. We all know why he's serving that suspension.
Parade inside my city.
Well, we got a lot of comps we still gotta figure out. We gotta figure out J. Cole, we gotta figure out Kendrick Lamar, we gotta figure out, like, Shaquille O'Neal. Who do you put for Shaq? Like, there's so many of these choices.
We got a lot of people listening that can help us out with this, I think.
Yes. And so we want to know, who is an NBA player rapper comparison? We want to compile a list, and then we're going to put together a full video just on this. And so please help us out. If we get enough submissions, we're going to make a video about it. Should be a good time.
And I bet we'll have a lot of people that disagree with some of the selections we made. So
Oh,
if you
100%.
do, totally fine. Let us know what you think.
Yeah, like we're this is a rough draft. Like I said, we just got into this conversation before we decided to start the episodes. This is version one. Version one. I've got a couple questions for you, Roman, before we close out this episode. You've now played at home, played on the road. How are you feeling about your season up to this point? You seem to be playing really well. How are you feeling about the season so far?
It's been good. Just to get back on the court, get back into the field of playing. Last year I redshirted here, so I got to watch the team play instead of playing. Uh, it's been really fun just to get back on the court. It's been a couple years since I was able to play. I mean, high school was it was now 2 years ago. So to just get that, those uh, that game day feeling, right before you're about to go on the court feeling, stuff like that is really cool. Game planning, watching film on another team, uh, stuff like that is really fun. So it's been good to get back into the swing of being a basketball player. And I feel good about my first few games. It's been kind of a rough start, as you mentioned, with injuries and stuff like that, but slowly working my way up uh, through skill work, slowly working my way up in the rotation, and hopefully it progresses and we keep getting some more wins.
This is the start of Roman's My Player journey, okay? This is going to be the storyline for My Player NBA 2K28, all right? It's gonna be redshirt player, back issues, trying to get spot minutes, works his way up to a starter, 20 points a game, goes D1, from D1 plays for somehow only 8 games and then gets drafted. It's like this miracle Kyrie situation and then is playing in the league. This is just the beginning.
Let's
It
speak it
looks
into existence. Let's
trying
do
to
it.
speak it into existence, but if there is one thing that is showing up on film in the games that I'm watching, it's you're scoring about every other minute right now by the numbers, but you're not forcing your shots. So in the time that you're getting on the floor, you're getting such clean looks because you're in the right place at the right time consistently. 3-point shooting looked great over these past few games. You've had a couple layups as well. So the form shooting's there. And I mean, I played you, so I know the 3-point shot's automatic. So it's good to see that translate, especially at this level. Like you said, these are your first games, and for you to be scoring that way right now, it not knowing where you're at in the rotation and coach trying to figure out what he's doing. Huge shout out to you for your play last few games, letting the game come to you. I'm excited to see as your confidence builds if there's more set opportunities for you to score the basketball, not just as a catch and shoot, but maybe if we get the ball in your hands a little bit more. I'm excited to see over these next few weeks. So big time stuff. And I was thinking about it. I was actually really thinking about this. The job that I'm at right now, uh, in February, at times you can get switched teams. They can kind of shuffle the deck a little bit. And it made me think, like, could you imagine if the corporate world or if regular business was anything like sports? Like, could you imagine you put in 5 years at your job. You just got promoted last year. You're feeling pretty good about yourself. And then you walk in and your boss says, Roman, sorry we had to do this, but you've been traded to Morgan Stanley. They're expecting you in the office starting on Monday. You'll be working out of Boston. So, pack up your things. They expect you to be there by next week.
the economic world, the business world is the same as sports.
Yes,
You
could
can
you
just get
imagine if the
moved
business world was
over.
like sports?
How you liking your new job? I don't know, man. I think they might trade me soon. I haven't been performing that.
Hey, wait, hey man, we guys, I just got traded. I got traded for 2 draft picks out of Harvard. Like, these guys aren't even proven yet.
Yes,
I
there's less
I've been fighting for
selection
my
in
life.
jobs. Yeah. Who draft out of
Like,
an Ivy League school? We're hoping to get a few good guys here. That's an interesting thought. I like that.
you go from being like a closer in a sales job, uh, it'd be the equivalent of being like a spot starter. All of a sudden, you get traded somewhere and you immediately get moved to the bench. They're
Yes.
just like, "Hey, man," like, you're like Blake Griffin coming out of Detroit. All of a sudden in Boston, he just never sees the court, and that does barely sees the court in Brooklyn. They're like, "Hey, you know what? We appreciated everything that you did at that last job. We've seen what you're capable of. We're gonna have you out there knocking doors." What?
From manager to the new rep.
You get you get bought out. Someone's like, "Hey, yeah, we picked you up, but, we have no plans of actually having you be a part of this team. We're gonna give you the next we're gonna pay out the rest of the fiscal year to you, and then, just wanna wish you luck kinda where you go next."
Yeah, good
Like,
luck in life.
it would just be absolutely insane. It would be insane.
What if you had to stay, like, in certain businesses or getting moved to different businesses? Like you're saying, like, getting switched to a different situation, like, you go from a specific job, and then you work in a completely different, like that you like, you're not even in, like, marketing or something like that. You
Yeah.
move to a completely new type of job, so that's pretty funny. That's pretty
My favorite is just, like, imagine you go into work and they're like, "Hey, man, we appreciate everything," like, comparable businesses, right? Like, "Hey, man, you're a financial advisor, like, we appreciate everything you've done for us here at JP Morgan, but, we ended up making a trade." Yeah. Wells Fargo, they see your talent, they believe you have the intangibles, uh, but they're gonna be moving you to their G League equivalent, playing out of Mexico.
gonna drop you down to their one of their branches out there in Oregon,
We're gonna drop
fortunately.
you to our Texas border branch, the middle of nowhere, but, this isn't the end for you. There's a path
We
for
believe you
you
could bring
to
you back up. We just need to see you put up some numbers down there first.
we believe if you put in good work, you might be able to make it to San Antonio.
There it
It's
is.
really crazy that this stuff happens to people. It is actually crazy, and for
Yeah,
those
we
of you that
joke
don't
about
know,
it, but it's their livelihood.
there's a G League team that even plays in Mexico. Do you know that?
The New Mexico City team.
Yes. Like, that's a real path for some of these guys. Like, could you imagine? You start the season, you're playing for the Milwaukee Bucks G League team. You end on a two-way deal, you get traded, all of a sudden, you end the season, you're playing in Mexico. That's someone's life. Wow. Now,
Or
to
even
be
just
fair,
like when players get moved to new teams and then get traded a couple weeks later. Like
yeah.
you hear about guys who would like buy houses and then they are
Do you hear about Danny
millionaires.
Green? Do you hear about Danny Green? He was like 90% of the way unpacked
Oh
in his
yeah.
house
hmm
and
And
then
then they're
moved.
like, you got to move.
Yep.
And there's
Yep.
nothing you can do because you got to get over there, start training with the team, start building chemistry. You got to start doing stuff.
All right. Uh, Food for thought for anybody in the corporate world. Matter of perspective. Now, if I was getting paid what NBA players were getting paid, maybe not like those two-way guys, I might not worry as much.
Might
But I
not
want to
matter as
close
much.
out. I want to close out this episode talking about how petty these NBA players are about the in-season tournament games. Joel Embiid came out and said, "Hey, every point matters in the in-season tournament games, so we're gonna shoot threes at the end of the game." Right? LeBron James, universally known as one of the cheapest billionaires on the planet Earth, saying, "Yeah, there's 500 grand on the line. I'm gunning for it." Uh, and then these losing teams that are upset that these opponents are like, "Hey, we got to run up the score. Sorry guys, we got to do this, we got to do that." It's like you got to read the rules. In the case that there is a tie as far as records, point differential is a differentiating factor, which means if you're playing in in-season tournament games, and a lot of these games are on Fridays, you know it's in-season tournament by the change in the court. That's like the number one way to know if it's an in-season tournament game. You should be trying to run the score up. So I just think it's hilarious how the losers in these games are like, "Yeah, that's not how the game's supposed to be played, da 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 da." And it's like, yeah, if you would have played that same team tomorrow, it would have been like every other game. But this is the in-season tournament. They're gonna run it up.
I'm pretty sure it was the Pistons, and it was like 5 or 6 of the guys wanted to meet Joel
Yes, they wanted to
in the
fight him.
hall after the game.
Yeah, they wanted to
And
fight him.
luckily, Joel didn't hear any of that, but
Luckily for
it's
them, dude,
hilarious
Joel's
that they just
huge.
didn't know. Yes,
Pause.
but, luckily for them, that but it's just so dumb. Like, how do you not understand the rules? And I feel like it's probably gonna happen a couple more times, like, somebody's
Oh,
gonna
for
get pissed
sure.
that somebody takes a shot at the end of the game, but again, it matters.
Yeah, I mean, like, imagine being like the Pacers. The Pacers, I think they won it. They lost a game to the Boston Celtics, I want to say, by 40, and then turn around and beat a team by 50. Like, point differential matters. Do you imagine you lose by 50 in an in-season tournament game? Like, how do you dig out from underneath that? You have to try and run the
You
score
have
up on
you
somebody.
have to
That's all
either
you
win every
have.
single game or run up the score.
Yes, you have to. So it is interesting. It's something fun to keep your eye on. On that note, we'll close the episode there. Thank you so much, everybody, for being here with us. Season 2, episode 3 of the Swishlist Podcast. Hopefully you enjoyed it. As always, if you have things you want us to talk about on the pod, let us know. We're not strangers. Message us on social media. Feel free to hit us up on any platform. You can even email in some of your ideas. It's swishlistpod@gmail.com. Very basic. Feel free to let us know what topics you want to hear next. And if you've got any ideas on rapper comparisons, please make sure to send them in.
Need to know. We
But
need
we
to know.
appreciate you. I'm going to pass things over to Roman. Send us off.
Thank you to all the new listeners. Thank you to all the returners. We appreciate you guys for listening. We are on all your favorite platforms. We are on TikTok. We are on Instagram. We are on
YouTube,
Facebook still. Are we on
Facebook,
still.
Twitter.
We're there.
We're
Just to
everywhere.
listen to the full episode. We
X.
are everywhere. Find us there. If you are not subscribed, if you are not liking, it's getting ridiculous. It's really getting ridiculous. Thank you for listening. Swishlist Podcast. We are out.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of the Swishlist Podcast. Catch us on social, and we'll see you next week.